welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
It's nice miss you as a co-host.
Yeah, I miss just being here. It's just nice to be back. You know.
Yeah.
It's I was saying before we started the podcast. You know, I miss it. I miss just coming in here shooting the shit
every other Friday.
Yeah, it
2
was
or 3
nice.
hours.
It was a nice break from life, as we were talking about even earlier. You know, the husband, father, everything that you try to do all in one day. It was like a little bit every other week where you're just like, I'm just shooting the shit with my guy.
You can still come back and do it once a month with me.
Oh, I know. And
once every 90 days.
Honestly, it wouldn't be bad. We need to get in the habit of that. Kind of. Yeah, it was. Kinda. It was. I need to get back to therapy for sure. Yeah. I've missed it. I think that's probably the thing I missed most about being in the podcast is just like being able to talk it over with other like-minded individuals. You know, we had a lot of cool people on whenever we were together, and a lot of times I know you felt it like we'd be in the season of something and somebody comes along and just says something. It's like, man, that was
spot on.
That was nice. Yeah, it was like, that was nice. I'm glad I was a part of that conversation, and then you move on. And right now, since I'm not doing something like this, and my networking in general has really diminished, it's just kind of like a lot of times you're just like, man, I'm in my own head. It'd be nice to just talk it out with somebody, which on occasion we do, but it's not like on the podcast, like you said.
There was a frequency. And
yeah. And it was nice to have different people's opinions, right? Different, always somewhat in the same world, right? Because we're business owners, business leaders, whatever the case may be, but completely different world, So it was nice to get opinions from like a CPA on how they run their business, and it has nothing to do with how we run ours, but in the grand scheme of things, it does. You learn something from everybody. So that's probably what I miss the most about just being in here is just the rhythm, and like you said, just having the consistent new, fresh ideas coming to you.
What was going through your head on your way over?
It's been a minute since I've been on the podcast. That's literally, I was like, man, it's been a minute. Like thought I would be nervous. I remember the first time I was on the podcast when we first started Brews and Business. I was so nervous, and then never got to me. So I'm like, oh, maybe that was like a skill that I learned from being on the podcast. Being in front of the camera and talking to new people. That
or in a microphone. Sometimes
or in a microphone, right?
Is weird, yeah.
Right. It's all weird, I was kind of remembering that of like, man, I remember first few times we did a podcast, it was just weird.
Many times for me. I'd get the butterflies or whatever you want to call them, the jitters, and we're like, oh my God.
And then you're in the podcast, you're like, oh, that was great, and it felt good. But this time that never hit me, which was kind of fun to just be like, oh, wow. For one, it's different because it's only you and I, right? We don't have a host, another guest here.
It's you and me and all other people.
Oh,
no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wrong song in my head.
Okay.
That's all right. But anyways, it's just, like I said, I was a little concerned. I was like, oh, man, I'm going to be nervous getting on the podcast. But nah, it's kind of, I think it's a skill that I hope develop, whenever we started the podcast, is just being in front of the camera. And I think, so we just looked over those videos that we made, right, for ARC. And I know we've talked about it in the business before where I can seemingly get in front of the camera and it's like one hit and let's just do it. Let's roll. Whereas other people, it's like, man, I need like 2 or 3 different shots and then we'll piece it together. And I think Brews and Business had a lot to do with that, just getting in front of the camera and getting in front of the microphone, getting used to being mic'd up. You're just like, man, who cares,
Whenever I put a mic on somebody, I was like, you ever worn a wire?
Yeah, right.
And a lot of times they're like, no. I'm like, sounds like you worn a wire before.
Yeah, right. Like, but that's a very good example, right? It's like even in those moments, like when you're out in the field, you're shooting content. When you mic somebody up, that's initial when those nerves start hitting. You're like,
I know that feeling too.
Here it comes. Yeah, right. Exactly. You know that feeling. And then now, if I show up or I show up here or whatever, it's just like, it's just part of it. Like I said, I think it's a skill that definitely helps.
It's acquired.
Yeah. And I think in our business and business in general, having a skill where you can show up to anyone, in any, hell, it's like door knocking, man. If you can show up to the door, knock on the door, and maybe they answer, maybe they don't, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, you don't know. But at the end of the day, you just show up, and after a while it gets easier, So I think that's definitely something that Brews and Business helped because at this point, Sure, I get intimidated when I get in certain rooms and stuff, but for the most part, I'm like,
That was part of my objective for even starting part of it, which was a benefit of having the podcast outside of making connections, learning from others, and then sharing all these experiences with somebody else.
Right.
You know, but yeah, being able to acquire or enhance the skill of just having some one-off conversation of somebody that they maybe know a little bit or don't know at all, or maybe even if I knew them a lot, it's still like, okay, we got to have some context here, some questions like, what do we carry on next? And it almost kind of got me more like curious and investigative almost into why their profession, why did they choose it? How do they do it? When did they get started? Why are they still in it 18 years later?
right.
What's something they wish that they knew? Like, what are those things? And then I bring those same kind of conversations to networking events or anything else, or sales calls or sales meetings. You know, it's like trying to learn about them and their experience and finding the gaps and
Right.
closing the deal or whatever.
I love that you bring that up. Because I think as you're in a different position than I am, right? As marketing, landscaping, completely different worlds, right? But I know you've been in the position where I definitely have, where you'll invite somebody to go to a networking event or something, and they're like, "What are we supposed to talk about?" Like who, or or your spouse. Well, what am I coming to this networking event? Who am I supposed to talk to? What am I supposed to talk about? And I think the podcast, like you said, having those conversations, learning, it kind of taught us how to interview people, and like how to just keep a conversation going. And
You really do use that though?
oh yeah, I mean, and again, I think it comes down to like building the skill of just talking to someone and knowing that this person has valuable insight. Like everybody's a genius at something. You just got to dig it out of there, And I think, like you said, with the podcast, it really helped for both of us to like develop the skill of like, well, for one, I walk into any room and know like I will find something to talk about with someone. It's not that hard. But on the flip side, it's also like, well, I'm just not as intimidated to go talk to like nobody. I went to a networking event. I think it was like August. Site One in Bixby. It's a big major vendor here in town. They just revamped their whole new office. And when I went there, I went by myself, and it was kind of like weird, but I knew it was all industry professionals, right? Like it's all landscapers and stuff like that. And at one point in time, man, I saw somebody that I look up to here in town walk through the tent. I just got up and introduced myself. I was like, man, that just looked like a little fanboy right there. But really, like, who cares, right? But then towards the end of the thing, we're all of us have had a couple of drinks, having a good time. Well, I walk over to some random table and I'm just like, hey, can I butt in this table? And it turns out I am connected to a couple of these people somehow through business and so on and so forth. But it's funny because I wouldn't have done that probably pre-podcast. Like I would just have been scared to be like, I don't want to go introduce. But then you realize through, however many episodes we did in the podcast, like these people that you hold to a high regard in their industry or whatever, like, they're just people too. Like, like just people, man, they got kids, they got lives, they got all these things that you go through, they also go through, So then it makes it way easier to just talk to people. You're just like, if I'm not accepting this circle, I'll just go to the next circle. Like, no big deal, but
sometimes you got to realize too, it's not you.
Right.
It's them.
Right. Absolutely.
They could have some other experience earlier on in the day where it just drained them.
Yep.
And then they still have to come to this event. And sometimes you're like, oh my God, like they don't like me, or what they think this, or they're not very conversational. Like they must know something about me that I don't, or like your brain starts getting a little anxiety sometimes. Right. Yep. And then, or sometimes, they're just off-putting, and it's not you, it's them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And if it is you, then you'll figure it out and you'll learn from it.
Right. And that's the thing, right? And I think, again, with the podcast, like you talk about, like, what was I thinking? And kind of like just looking back at the podcast, it teaches you that because, you had some episodes where we're just like, we laugh, and we're like, dude, that was a good episode. And there was other episodes
we're like, that was so bad.
Yeah, right. And there was other episodes you're like, yeah, well,
that was
an episode. It's an episode. We did it, But with that, like I said, it's its own form of like networking and rejection and learning how to, like I said, I don't want to say interview, but how to like lead a conversation, right? And know and be comfortable in your abilities to lead that conversation. I'm glad to be back. It's nice to like, just look back at the growth that comes from these adventures you take in life, you know, and you maybe look at it and you're like, oh, I'm just doing this, you know. When we started, right, it's just like, oh, it's an idea, let's do this. And then looking back now, I'm like, damn, I actually learned some good skills from that. That was a good time. Met some great people that I still contact, like literally on a weekly basis type situation. It's like, man, that's awesome. How did what was just something to do for fun at first, to hang out with my friends, you know, whenever we started, it was Stone, Chance as well, you know, and it's like, man, that was.
And in the studio V1?
Right, exactly. Like, dude, it was way back then. It was just us four hanging out, you know, and it was like a way to let go at the end of, you know, every week then. And it's cool to think like we literally just started like, oh man, I like these people. We're going to start hanging out, do a podcast. So it turned out you meet some awesome, really smart people. And then you learn some skills along the way, which is really awesome, you know? But yeah, I'm interested to hear what you feel you've learned from the podcast. I mean, you know, something that a lot of people don't realize, you know, that you've always taken care of, but like how much work goes into doing the podcast, right? Like, admittedly, my role has always kind of just been showed up and hang out, you know, like.
Which has definitely been appreciated and super helpful every single time.
Right.
Like,
well,
a lot of the conversations, I'm like, I've initially, like, when you're like, hey, man, I've got to take a break because I've got to focus and shift for a little bit. Doesn't mean I'm going to be gone forever, but I've got to shift. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to, should I keep doing it? I'm like, I've got to keep doing it. Got to keep having the conversations.
Right.
I don't know. I just kind of figured it out from there. But I mean, I agree with you. Like, what I learned is the conversations part, being able to kind of have those. And I wanted to be able to speak better. Oh, like, how do you speak better? Well, you got to practice it. And sometimes you got to be able to have conversations with people that sometimes are uncomfortable to have conversations with. And sometimes they're uncomfortable because, one, it could just be like what I said earlier. It's them, not you.
Right. The vibe's
quiet,
just not right.
It's just not right. Yep. But you still have to learn how to engage and keep that conversation flowing. So, like, that's important. Or it could be some people that have been on the podcast have been of certain power or stature or status, right? So sometimes being able to have context with them that you try not to have, conversations with them that they wouldn't have had on a news station.
Right.
Or with somebody else.
Right.
So it's like, what are some good conversations to have that would be like deeper? Right. Or from this perspective? Or how would it correlate with blank? Like, for example, like with Michael Spurgeon, the city manager of Broken Arrow, right? Like, he's not a business owner, right? But in his position, he is like the CEO of the city of Broken Arrow. He's a business leader. And he's a leader. Yeah, he's definitely in a leadership position, a leadership role. And he, you know, manages dollars and budgets and inventory and people and hiring and firing and who's in charge of doing all that stuff. And like, there's still a lot of things that are going on, just like there is in business. And forecasting, and he's a great speaker too. If you ever get a chance to see him on stage, it's pretty cool. You're just like, wow, he just flows
That's awesome.
very well. And
I love whenever I listen to somebody speak like that. It's just like, man, that was a good speech.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Yeah. And like,
awesome.
With some of the things that like I've learned, like still with him on that train, is I was like, how do you get to speak so well? He's like, I used to just talk to myself in the mirror for years. And then he's had some consulting and coaching and stuff on some of that too in the past. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, okay. So now it's commendable. And I'm like, I want to go down that path too.
Yeah.
And then like with Don Burdick, right? He didn't get started till 50 plus, right? And it's not too late.
No.
One of the other lessons.
Yeah,
never too
definitely.
late. So I've almost looked at that too, to where I'm like, and I've heard about this too. I've heard about living your life in decades.
Mm-hmm.
So from your 20s, live a certain way. In your 30s, live a certain way. In your 40s, live a certain way. 50s, 60s, whatever. And kind of think of them as chapters. And so if there's some job or something that you want to pursue, but you feel like you can't because you have this sort of experience, go for it anyways.
Right.
Right? Like, okay, take 2 or 3 years into your 30s to try to make that shift, gain that skill, go back to school for a year or two, study it, YouTube it, whatever, you know, and then continue applying for those few years until you get the job. Then you get the job, have that job for 7 years, start something over at 40.
Right.
You know, the whole concept of people sticking to a job for their entire life doesn't happen.
Right. I mean,
not anymore, at least.
And I agree. I mean, I feel you and I have always had this joke, right? We're like officially unemployable. Like, once you have a business, you're unemployable. Which, let's be real, at the end of the day, we could probably find employment if need be, but our thought process is different, right? And that's what makes us slightly unemployable. But the reality is we as business owners tend to get stuck in our roles much easier than somebody who's just has a job. Like you said, you quit, look at what you have to do and change positions and so on and so forth. We as business owners, a lot of times we're like, well, we have people depending on us. So to make a move like that is a little bit harder, but you're right. It's realistically, it's not very realistic for most people nowadays. I know, like me personally, you've always known financial freedom by 35 is the big goal. I'm a landscaper now, I own a landscape business, but will I be doing this when I'm 60, 70? Probably not. I mean,
I hope not. I hope by 35 you're either financially free or you've shifted to something else.
And that's the thing, right? So like the goal is by 35 financially free, and admittedly, like it's looking pretty positive. But at that point, everybody always asks, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to go have fun. Like, I'm going to go chase what my wife wants to do. I'm going to go follow her on her dreams. I mean, she followed me on this wild goose chase. Why not follow her on her one?
Maybe you be a stay-at-home dad while she chases her
and
dreams.
that's exactly what
I've
shift,
said.
Exactly.
Finally get to stay home with your daughters and hang out with them.
So for Christmas, my middle daughter asked for a vending machine. What's not to say when I'm
a legit one?
Yeah, she asked for a legit vending machine, like a full-blown vending machine.
How old is she?
6.
Yeah,
5 or 6.
I know how old she is.
Yeah, she's 6. But just with that in mind, is like, well, financially free at 35, why not just go buy a vending machine and start a vending machine business with your daughter? She's homeschooled. Yeah. There's a reason for that. So we can chase these wild dreams and adventures. So like you said, with that in mind, it's like even us being business owners, like at some point you do think about making that shift to what? Well, life will figure that out as we go. And I think, you have done it better than I have of exploring, right? Maybe moving locations where, that's like one thing that my wife and I have always said, one day we're
like home or business, like physical.
We want to physically move away, just move away. It's just been always a dream of ours. And I think a lot of young people have that dream to move away from home, right? And on the back end, on one hand, you're like, man, but my kids and their family and, blah, blah, blah. But on the other end, you're like, yeah, but to really have to depend on myself and my family and my little crew of people, that just seems like the coolest thing in the world. Plus, if you have financial freedom, it's a lot easier to do something like that. But with that in mind is like, the idea for us has never been necessarily to just stay. It's always been, in a sense, transition with whatever life takes you. Not to say there's anything wrong with staying, in a job or in a business. Hell, there's a possibility I'll be a landscaper forever. I do love what I do. And as a business owner, I think you can attest to this too, is we have I'm going to say flexibility. It's the wrong word because you and I both know that sometimes it's you have to situation. But we have the flexibility to occasionally get our feet wet with the actual work that we do. I can pick up a shovel. I can physically plan a plan. I can repair this. I can do that and run the business and do proposals and do, you can stick your hands in wherever you want to where your every day is not just running the business,
Or imagine the job, right? You get the job, you sell the business and you go get a job, right? And maybe you sold it for millions and you're like, I just want a job. Well, to stay busy. Now you're on the bottom part of that totem pole.
Right.
Let's just say more than likely. You're on the bottom part of the totem pole, especially in
well, I've always wanted to go work at McDonald's, bro. So put me at the bottom.
Yeah. So let's say you're at the bottom and now you're like asking people for higher up and saying, hey, I need a better spatula to be able to do my job better to flip the burgers. And they're like, budget's not approved. That I'm going to have an uncomfortable time experiencing. I'm like, I'm just going to go buy a spatula with my own money because I want to do a better I want to do better at my job.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, no, I really don't want to do that. I want the business to do that. Right. It's a business job, right? But you're going to have people that managers or whoever.
Well, that's the unemployable portion of this.
Yeah. And that part is what's frustrating. And I actually had some conversation the other day where it was like that, where I was like, this sounds really crucial to your job and also supports the entire organization that if you were doing things like this then and you have this now, and you really needed that this whole time. Why was it such an issue? As no one saw it as a priority. I'm like, but it upheld your position and everyone else's status in the company, literally. Why wasn't it seen as a priority? No one just wanted to have a conversation about it, and I've been asking for it for years.
Right.
And it's like, I finally got it. And now they realize that we should have had this the whole time. You know?
Well,
I'm not ready to deal with, some parts of me are like, you know, I mean, I will, you know, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I'm not
for
going to
sure.
be insubordinate or anything. You know what I mean? Like there's a
Right.
hierarchy and stuff. And I'm also excited to kind of get into a place, if I did, at some point in time, I'd be excited to like get into a place where I'm like, it's not my problem.
Right. Well, and I
Like,
think,
I'm not the owner of this. It's like,
and I think
there's somebody in a position that is able to handle this.
there's an
you know?
allure to us, I think, as business owners. And I don't know because I haven't passed this threshold. You know, you haven't either. Maybe you have met some people that appear to have passed this threshold. But I wonder if we've talked about many times that people are always, or the big thing is, you want to be business owners, want to be an entrepreneur. There's just a lure to be an entrepreneur.
I was talking with
And then-
Shelly, my haircut lady, about this.
Right. And then I think on the flip side, those of us who are in the trenches have this allure of like not owning a business again. They're just like, it's not my problem. As long as my check clears, I'm good. You know, I'll show up, I'll clock in, I'll clock out. And it's like, it's so funny how that flips, right? The whole grass is greener on the other side situation. And
You lose the freedom and you lose some power.
Right. But if you don't
exchange
need
that
it-
for something else.
Right. If you don't
like
need
liability.
it, then, right. And you do. You absolutely do. You exchange it for a lot of things. And like so I said earlier, you know, we have the flexibility, but how often are you doing something because you have to do it? Because somebody has to do it, right? My brother earlier
I mean, all
today,
the time right now.
Right. So an example earlier, my brother mentioned of we on the news last night, the guy got stuck in the trench, right? A trench collapsed on the guy and they had to dig him out and all this good stuff. And we're sitting there talking about it and so on and so forth. And Abraham's like, well, this is why women live longer. They don't be doing stuff like that, you know? And he's like, and I bet you that guy was like, oh, you know, us guys think we're invincible, blah, 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 blah. And I looked and I was like, you know, I don't believe that. And he said, why? I was like, and he's right. I mean, this guy was doing something he shouldn't have been doing. We as humans do that, right? It was an unsafe work condition. Could have happened to anybody. And he's like, well, he probably thinks he's invincible, blah, 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 blah. I said, I don't believe that. He said, why? I said, because, you know, I grew up seeing my dad do all kinds of sketchy shit. He never once said, I'm invincible. He said, well, someone's got to do it. Someone's going to be me because you ain't going to do it. And he just did it. And Abraham just laughed. He said, no, you're probably right. I was like, because someone has to do it. And at the end of the day, he was probably like, I'm not going to wait around for whatever. Or maybe he didn't even realize it was an unsafe position. There's also that possibility, right? But it's funny of just how much is not, hey, I want to. It just becomes like, well, I have to because somebody has to do it. Like, sure, there are certain, like I said, maybe there's a certain threshold where you pass that, where you no longer feel that way. But I think to some degree, as a business owner, you always have that, like, at the end of the day, like, somebody has to do it. You know, we have to do X, Y, Z. And like I said, part of that sounds like it'd be nice to just let go of, like, well, I clocked out. I'm going to go home, actually clock out, because we don't get to clock out, dude. You know.
So we now close on Fridays at noon.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
And so we basically, we talked about just closing Fridays entirely.
Yeah.
And then just to outside world. And then inside, we just have our team meeting from,
Yep.
you know,
We do that every
9
Friday.
to noon. And then 9 to noon, team meeting, and then go home.
Yeah.
You know?
We do that,
Yeah.
and it's been one of the greatest things, man.
So
It's great. I'd highly recommend it because
we started that today, actually. So we had the conversation the other day. There's 4 of us to be able to talk about it. And
yeah, honestly,
That's it.
so we do that, and again, we're landscapers, so we work a full week outdoors. Our customers don't really care. You know, you just tell them right off the bat, hey, we don't work Fridays unless we absolutely have to. But we kind of reserve that day to just like recoup, and if we need to get materials or prep for the next week or whatever the case may be, customers don't care. And I think on a mental health level, that has been the biggest thing because we've got guys that work for us now that they're like, man, I like it here. It's like, well, why? Because I don't work Fridays. Like I have a full weekend. And if I want to, I can find side work on Friday and Saturday. That's so easy. But I don't want to, and I just like my mental health time. So I'm glad you're doing that. And for us in the business, because management still works on Fridays, but the field doesn't, the outside world doesn't exist or whatever. So like as management, everybody indoors, it's like nice to have a quiet day in the office to like catch up on the week. So I'm honestly really excited to hear about that. I think you guys will love it. There's some European countries that have been doing this for quite some time.
And Americans are like, look what we're doing.
well, listen. So whenever I read this, I think the first time I read this was probably 2 or 3 years ago that there were some European countries doing this. I thought it was fantastic, and I tried to implement it right away. Of course, got some pushback. Finally, we decided to just do it. We did it, and after we did it, man, the guys at first were like, I don't like this. But it took them a couple months, and then now everybody's like, yeah, Friday's off. Oh, man, we have to work this Friday? That sucks.
Yeah, well, you got the other Fridays off.
Right. Well, it's not right now. It's off season. We'll work whatever days we can. But, it's nice to have that extra day. And I think as fathers, as husbands and stuff, I kind of appreciate a day where it's like things are open. It's not, it's not, everything's not closed to catch up on whatever. It's like, I can actually have a weekend.
What it feels like too in our space, and I don't know if it's just because, again, over the last year, boundaries is probably one of the things I'll talk about at some point in time if we talk about it. But some of our clients want us to be available all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
All the time. It could be 9 o'clock at night. Hey, I got a question about this.
You can fire me at any time.
No.
No. Absolutely. Don't respond.
I've had some employees that be like, well, I had to work at 9 o'clock, so I can come in late. I'm like, no.
Why were they working at 9 o'clock?
Why were you working at 9 o'clock? Well, because a client emailed me. I'm like, was something on fire? No. Could it have waited till tomorrow? Yes. Okay. Well, I'll see you in the morning. Or whatever. I'll see you on Monday. Those for salaried kind of stuff.
Right. No, and I think that.
Anyways. But now I'm going to have to I'm really starting to lay boundaries. And I started to do those actually sometime in the summer where I was just like, nope.
Have you found any kickback on those boundaries?
Yeah, I've had some clients leave, and I've had people that talk poorly about me and stuff like that, where it's just like, nope. I'm not working for free.
I wonder if
I'm not going above and beyond, especially when you're not wanting to communicate.
Right.
I've got clients even now. I've got four of them that I'm like, I've got stuff dating back a year that you still haven't approved. Still paying the bill, you're still hiring me, still talking every now and then. Maybe once every 90 days we'll have a conversation and you're like, oh yeah. Oh yeah, we talked about that. And then it's just like, okay, well, I'll stay the course. Yep, sounds good. I'm like, all right. Still can't publish some stuff.
Right.
But it's like, whatever.
And
and some of them are like, what do you want me to do?
So, one thing that I've always appreciated about the differences in our businesses is yours is very mental workload, very digital, where ours is very physical, like presence.
Which one would you rather have? Would you rather be mentally tired or physically tired?
Physically. I've always said it. Because you know what? Whenever you're physically tired, you go home and you sleep like a king. When you're mentally tired, you go home and you don't sleep. You tell me which one you'd rather have. I mean, that's just the truth, right? But I say that because in your space, being digital and what feels like ever present, right? You have customers that expect this type of service, right? And you've had some kickback from you putting boundaries up, which you should, absolutely. I set up boundaries like that, I think, like last year, probably right about the time I started quitting or thinking about quitting. I just wouldn't answer the phone. If it's after 7, 6, really. Like, if I really like you, I will answer. But otherwise,
don't call me at 8:30.
Don't call me, or on the weekends.
And
I have customers that would say, hey, can you meet me at, 6 o'clock? I'm like, well, I'm glad you could get off work on time at 5 o'clock, but I also want to get home at that time, right? But I actually didn't get a whole lot of kickback once I started implementing these rules. And they're not like hard rules, but like my voicemail says, hey, if you reach out to me and you don't get an answer by Friday at this time, I'll call you Monday, maybe the following week. Like, I'll get back to you. The reality is, and I think we both feel this, and I think probably everybody, we're very connected now with our phones. So anybody feeling like they don't get an answer right away is like, oh, they're ignoring me, they're whatever. And I ask if the difference there maybe is because for us, well, they know I physically can't come out there in the dark or after hours and do anything like after a certain time. They physically see my guys out there laboring away. Whereas with you guys, they think you're just piddling away in a computer and then AI, exactly, and AI will have it done in 30 seconds. Like they do. That's what they think. And even me, just a second ago, we were looking through those videos, right? And you're like, hey, well, we just got to do this and do this. And I'm like, dude, I was thinking we'd have to cut the whole thing. But you're looking at it on a 3-4 different levels, audio, visual, you know, how it actually meshes together, a previous on the video. Like you're looking at so many things where to me, that's,
oh, it'd be like, hey, can we just like dig up this hole here? And you're like, whoa,
right.
You know how many holes I've dug and popped lines?
Right, exactly.
Like, no, we got to get it sprayed. We got to call somebody.
Right,
we got to call somebody else. It's going to be a week or two before we can dig that hole.
Right, exactly. So with thinking that, it's, I wonder if your kickback has been because of that, because my kickback was not that way. And even the whole, hey, we don't work Fridays. I had a couple of customers give me a little bit of kickback at first, but after that, they're like, okay. I'm like, but we'll be back like Monday. We're not going to a different job. We're just, you know, and
during the break, Leslie was like all wanting to work and stuff and open up your laptop. And if something was catching on fire, and you know, nothing caught on fire, right?
No.
Like we took 2 weeks off. Like, what do you want me to, you want me to call you and be like, hey, Abel, on those winterization videos, the day before Christmas, you know, Christmas Eve, or even the day after Christmas, right. Be like, hey, can you come meet me and look at these videos? You're gonna be like, no.
Right. I would have told you no.
No.
Like, no.
Like
I got a Christmas party to plan. I got, you know, everybody, which I think, I saw a thing the other day to some foreign country. They take off the month of August. The whole country just shuts down.
That's
month
crazy.
Of August. And of course, it's foreign, so they don't celebrate maybe some of the holidays that we do here or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's funny because in that video they talk about like nothing. The whole country doesn't burn. Like nothing happens. The world doesn't end. And it's so funny because in those 2 weeks, so we also took 2 weeks off, right? And it's like.
You guys took 2 weeks off?
Well, yeah, sort of. I mean, not fully, but
I didn't open my laptop.
We were
2 weeks
closed-ish. See, I mean,
nobody called. I don't think.
And see, and that's what I'm saying is in that moment, something inside your brain is like something should be burning that I need to take care of. But I think it's really good to like have that reminder, especially around the holidays, right? Where it's like nobody cares. Like at the end of the day, they don't care. Why? Because right now, they're all just trying to relax and be with their families and do the same crap you need to be doing too. You know, and it's like, it's really nice. It's scary for one end because you're like, for us, like for right now, our schedule is slim as can be. Could we have addressed that during Christmas? We always say that, like, man, do we take the 2 weeks off for Christmas and then push the schedule? What do we do to like make the schedule work? Well, this is the first year I've ever had where customers physically tell me, hey, this is great, but let's table that till the new year. And I'm like, dude, I'm like 3 different correspondences away from like finalizing this and boom, let's go. And like, we'll table this till after the new year. And, you know, I was kind of like, yeah, you're right. Cause I don't want to work on this crap either. You know, like everybody's feeling this way. I can't get anything sold. I need to sell this right now to you. But even if I sell it to you right now and I can be there tomorrow, you're gonna be like, after the new year, I don't want you around here this time. So why not just check out too, you know? And it's like, with us with young kids, it's so nice.
Because they're also out of break.
Well, my kids being homeschooled, they don't get that. But right, because they're also on break. You get to really relish in the kids, in the home life, right? Like that is something that I think this break was very rewarding to like actually be with the kids, be present, right? And again, we went to work. I mean, I literally drive the kids to work with me 2-3 days. But it was nice because I didn't go to the office, work in the office all day or anything. It was like, hey, I got some appointments to come. You guys want to come with me? And of course, they always split. Yes, no, maybe, whatever. And I just bring whoever. And it's like, well, we're just going to go hit a couple of appointments and then we're just going to come back home. It was really nice.
Yeah.
You know, but having those breaks, I think, are really good for us, you know, and in a sense, that's other people setting boundaries towards us. And one of those few times where you should just accept it and just be like, well, everybody's checked out, me too. Like at the end of the day, if I wasn't going to pay that bill at the end of the month, it's probably is going to make a difference. Yeah, right. It's still going to be difference. It's still going to be due. And at the end of the day, nobody's paying attention to me to even sell anything right now. I might as well just check out too, So this was really eye-opening year for me with that, which, like I said, I had some customers just tell me straight up, we're just going to table this to you. And then last 2 weeks, I've been selling them. And it's like, yeah, they just wanted to get the holidays over, take a break, which again, I think is when you talk about boundaries, it's remembering that, we're all human. Like we all have responsibilities. I think, again, the disconnect maybe with your mental load and being office-based versus being, everybody's just so used to 24/7 customer support online. Like that's just what it is, dude. Nobody expects 24/7 landscaping. Like they just don't expect that. Show up with all these lights to work at night. Like it's not real.
Well, for me, they do.
Right. Well, yeah. Right. So that's what I'm saying is like, I wonder if that's the difference, right? Of like your boundaries versus ours, but how customers will also do
the industry expectations are different.
All right. Or even let's put it this way. We'll say industry expectations, but I think it's up to us as business owners to set those expectations, right? In industries. But how often, and I'm sure it happens a lot with me, with many other customers, it happens to me. Text them over or call them. I just need a real quick answer so I can finish this project. Like I am like an hour away from finishing this project. And if they give me this 5-second answer, boom, I got this homemade. And then they respond 7 hours later. Like, well, dude, I was waiting on you for 30 minutes. I wasted 30 minutes waiting on a text back or a call back. You didn't text me back. 7 hours later, I've already worked on 2 other projects. And it's like, well, they're setting their boundary, but now we're the bad guys because we didn't respond back as soon as they responded to us 7 hours later. It's like, it doesn't really make sense,
Yeah.
And I think with that is just understanding and again, industry specific maybe, but like respect people's times and boundaries because we're all dealing with crap, at the end of the day. And I love that this came up because at my doctor's office, so I just recently went through like a medical scare situation. But at my doctor's office, they have up like their core values and stuff, much like we've talked about. And they have posters everywhere that talk about just talking courteously to people, to everybody there, the doctors, the nurses, the other patients. And it's like,
everyone's talking courteously, or
that's like one of their core values or one of their big values is like just courteously respecting each other and so on and so forth. And whenever I read that, the first thing that came to mind for me was, how many people have been assholes in here? Like, it really makes you think, like, wow, you're in a doctor's office. Like, wow, I didn't think, but then you start thinking like, okay, people might be on certain medication or okay, I can see this. But then again, it puts in perspective, like for us, like, well, if a doctor can put out, hey, I need you to respect these boundaries, why can't we? Like, what? It's just, it's just interesting. And I think it comes down to like, sure, industry specific, but it is up to us to just kind of put those rules out there, I guess, for people to follow and for us to follow too. Because like I said, I put up the boundary, but if I like you enough, bro, I'll text you 9 o'clock at night. I don't care. You're a good customer. You're fun. I feel like whenever I talk to you, I'm talking to a human. It's just different.
I'll tell you what's kind of changed the way I operate based on last year.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's a kind of a few things that come to mind. It carries on to what we're talking about, setting boundaries. Yeah. What's a fire today will be a fire tomorrow.
Probably won't be any bigger either.
Most of the time won't be any bigger either. And sometimes the fire will take care of itself. It'll die out. Yeah. It'll run out of fuel.
Yeah.
If you let it sit there and burn long enough, it's, sometimes, especially, how do I word this? With you, like as being passionate business owners as we are, we take some things urgently. We want to get it done now. We want to get it done quickly. We want the customer to be happy. We want to show the customer that we're passionate, the whole team. We want to show the customer that we care. We want to deliver, right? And I feel like that gets taken advantage of and becomes an easy expectation when it's our above and beyond. So there's certain instances, like again, Fridays at noon, boundary, no. Okay, if I answer your call at Friday at 7 o'clock, I like you. You're a good client. You pay on time. You appreciate my work.
Right, you value me.
You value me. I will return that favor. Also, with the circumstance that I'm available to answer, and I'm available to be able to handle something that you will more likely request, right? So I know that I have a window here. I am more likely to step away from the family and address something that you need help out with. So with those parameters around, if you are one of those where you don't have those parameters, sorry. You're not in the priority list right now. Like, I'm with my family. I'm putting somebody to bed. I'm changing a diaper. Like, there's something else that's happening. Sometimes it's a lot more significant than just, hey, and sometimes if you text, then I will respond back to it in like an hour or two later.
Right.
After that's done. And I will know how much of a fire it will be.
Right.
Or I'll tell you, yes, I will address that. And I will tell you when I will address that. And most of the time it's fine.
Yeah. I think with you saying that, it comes down to like those customers, for both of us, have earned that, like that they've earned the right to get those responses. Like you said, they pay on time, they're easy customers or whatever the case may be. It's like, man, for people like those, like they almost become friends right after a while. And it's like, well, at that point you're like, okay, I'll respond because at this point, like I like this person.
Well, even the same thing applies to coworkers and employees.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
Absolutely.
like, just because I'm close with, Maddie or Madison or Chandler or whatever, doesn't mean I'm going to call him at 9:00 at night or text him at 9:00 at night. I will schedule a text for 8:00 in the morning.
Right.
Or I will make a note to say, hey, like, let's talk about this the next time we meet. When are you available? And schedule that at 9 a.m. in the morning. Cause you can schedule text messages to those. And if you don't, then figure out another way to set a reminder, put it on a calendar.
Or that
take
could
a
be a
note,
fire that just puts itself out.
Yeah, or it could be a fire that puts itself by the next day, and then you realize something else the next day. You're like, well, actually, this is how we can approach that. And now it's a different perspective too, because you slept on it for a minute, you know? And so I've kind of been, and I'm also realizing that some things are just going to happen the way that they're meant to happen. I can't force it. This is my experience. I could sit here and I could dial that phone all day, every day. And I could knock on doors all day, every day. And I could go to every networking event, shake hands, talk to somebody, hand out a card, a flyer. It's not going to force a sale. Doesn't mean like, and I don't know. But most of the time, like for me, I've had the best clients and the best experience when the relationship just happens naturally or when they come to me. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it doesn't mean I don't put myself out there.
Right.
And it probably also means that I don't have the skills to sit there and dial. Maybe somebody else does.
Man,
that's
honestly,
not
that's
me.
hard work.
It's not working for me. So
hard work.
I'm not doing it.
But
and it also could be like stuff from last year in general last year was a total fuck up entirely. Last year was fucked the entire year. It was fucked as soon as
I think a lot of us say that.
Fucked January 2nd. Literally that day when Trump started to make changes, or January 6th or whatever it is, right?
Whatever it was. Right.
Whatever the hell that inauguration day was fucked because of the amount of changes that were made. I'm not saying that they were good or bad changes or whatever, indifferent. Just the changes that were made, the amount that they were impacted so much in such a short time from that day on that it made businesses like yours concerned for what's going to happen next, where you didn't make a decision. You became stagnant, which is worse than knowing things are going to be bad and this is how bad they're going to be, because I can make an adjustment and a decision from there, or you can.
Oh, absolutely.
Or if you know how good they are, you again know an idea of what to do from there.
Right.
But if you don't know if things are going up, down, left to right, or in fucking circles, you're not going to make any decisions.
Right.
In my industry, I'm the first thing that gets taken off of a business and the last thing that gets brought on a table conversation. Right? You put a bunch of board members, a business owner, and some managers together. Nobody's talking about marketing when prices doubled for wood.
Right.
No one's concerned about it.
Right.
They're like, how are we going to lose money on these projects and then now increase our prices in the next 2 weeks?
Right.
Like we immediately are losing money on these projects that we didn't expect to lose. But now we didn't buy lumber for them because we didn't expect the price to double. Right. Lumber as an example, it could be oil.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
And it wouldn't surprise me if you went through a few projects like that last year to where it's just like, oh my God, we didn't expect to lose money. Now we did because seed or sod or whatever.
Just things that you can't control.
And so with things that I can't control, like they're just going to happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I also have conversations with people too who want to force things to happen. I'm like, you can try. I'm not going to.
Right.
It's just not. So I'm like, yeah. It's going to play out this way.
Now you say 2025.
I control what I can and let go of what I can't.
Yeah.
I can control my attitude. I can control my tone. I control my opinion, my actions. I can't control whether or not you sign that agreement.
Right.
I can only influence it. I can provide you with more information and resources that you need in order to make a decision.
But at the end of the day, you can't force it.
Yeah.
Like you said. And you know, that's one thing that I think we have somewhat in common, right? With you say marketing is always the last thing you're thinking of. Is landscaping, dude, we're literally everybody's last thought. Like, unless your yard is completely severely overgrown and you absolutely hate it, you never think about us. And you know what? As soon as time gets tough, first thing you cut is the people mowing your yard. You go buy yourself a cheap little mower.
You get that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. Or in a sense, you're building a business or building a house. Well, you spent all this money building the business or building the house that by the time you get to the landscaping or the marketing, like actually putting it out there, everybody's like, oh, I'm all out of money. What can we do with nothing? It's like, oh, okay, well, give me a real budget here. And it's like, well, we have no real budget, you know? So that's what, like you said, with the whole getting cut first or whatever, I do think that this 2025, you put it in a great perspective. Like, there was so much change going on in the initial start of 2025 that everybody was just holding. They weren't sure what was happening, so everybody's holding. And I think I felt very much a similar situation in the business. Like, sales didn't drop. We still had the same amount of sales, but everybody just seemed a little bit more hesitant. Like, a little bit more, which I can't blame them. I was too at home. I mean, this is the reality. Everything went up in price over the course of last year. You know, inflation, record inflation for the past 2. So if you look at it, it did. It kind of went stagnant, which in a sense, very much like you said, I think it's perfect. When it's stagnant, nobody knows what to do, so they just hold. If they know it's going to be bad, you prepare for bad. If you know it's going to be good, you try to take advantage of the good. And right now, we're in a very, I don't know what's going to happen, shape.
I even feel
America.
like it's still a little bit like that right now.
Oh, it is. I think, I think in a whole, the economy and the American people feel as though we're holding stagnant, but like just on the verge of a recession and bad, you know? And the way I see it is you can play that to your part and just assume it's going to be bad and hope for the best, right? And then if you prep for the worst, but you get the best, then you should be better set up to take advantage of the best, right?
Yeah. You also lose momentum when you're stagnant.
No, absolutely.
Right? So imagine like 2 or 3 years, you finally recovered from COVID, right? Because COVID was the other thing that's short.
Well, right.
You know, it was a year and a half of just like nobody moved for a year. Unless you're a pool company.
Well, I would say unless you're landscapers. I mean, we went crazy. And I think
because
that's
people stayed at home.
And that was the first time, I think, where people really, instead of spending their money on entertainment, right, going to the movies, they were spending their money at home because they were stuck at home. So they'd want to put in a pool. They'd want to put in their landscaping. They'd want to do all these things. So I think this year of stagnation, I have a good friend, local Jinx fence company, and he says he feels this year is the first normal year they've had in like 5 years.
25?
In 5 years.
2025?
Yes.
Oh.
And I said, why is that? He said, well, because he's like, up until now, everybody had COVID money. And they just be throwing it at us. I mean, we were so busy. He's like, and now it's kind of like back to normal. He's like, and we're not like anywhere near as busy as we need to be. We're not as busy as we have been, but we're also not busy. And they've been in business for 15, 20 years now. So knowing that is like, okay, so maybe we just like got into business right before COVID. We experienced the big rush of business. And then now we're feeling the crunch, right? Where everything kind of recesses. And the reason I have this thought process is we have neighbors right across from our shop, 4 Elements Grow Supply, and they went and they sell like just grow material, right? All kinds of stuff to grow. And they started their business whenever the big weed influx came into Oklahoma. Well, I guess whenever they first opened up, and my number's gonna be all wrong here, but they gave out like 1,000 permits to these different vendors or suppliers, whatever the case may be. Well, of course, gates were open. Now they're closing them back up and regulating better. And now they're down to like 100 permits for the whole state. So it's a drastic drop. As you can tell, the demand there dropped. So that affects their business, right? So now 4 Elements is like, well, what do we do with all these people doing blah, blah, blah? And I wonder if right now we're going through a similar situation of COVID, big influx of money, everybody spending money on their homes and so on and so forth and doing this and that. And now it's just crunching back to what before we were handing out money, you know? And again, I don't know, But
there's not one answer to any of
No,
this stuff.
absolutely
I mean,
not.
like that's kind of what I was saying. Like from January on,
Yeah,
last
it was
year, there
different.
was significant volume and impactful changes
Oh yeah.
across everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
That just affected everybody
Yeah.
in every way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times it was some were good, some are bad.
Yeah, right.
The majority of people I don't think knew what was going on.
Well,
I
like you
still
said,
don't think we know what's going
I think
on.
it happened too fast. Too much too fast.
Yeah,
Right.
did you hear? Oh my God, there's a scientific theory about velocity of changes and impact of on anything. That if there's too many changes in volume by something, then there's not enough time for certain components to react. It's a whole. I can't remember. So if somebody knows, or if you figure this out, let me know. I might try to look it up later. But it's a scientific theory, and if you change too much, it doesn't have enough time for components to process the change
to fit together,
and for the components to react in order to get into another rhythm. And it's okay for things to change. And let's say the components are constantly changing, but you change all of them all at once. They don't have enough time to react between each other, and the whole system crashes. And this actually happens to many of countries and empires and stuff over time, to where it's throughout history. I wish I knew more about this.
So you know what?
Because I watched a video on it and it was fascinating. I was like, oh my God, wow. Like that makes so much sense about why countries or empires have crashed, because some of them have just made so many changes
so fast
that the machine didn't have time to get into a rhythm.
The thing that comes to mind to like put it in physical. Have you been to the Discovery Lab? They have like a sound thing there. Right, you can change the music, and the sand moves different waves. But in between moving from one wave to the other, it just scatters. It goes crazy, right? That makes me think of that for some reason, right? Like if you were to change it back and forth on that knob, the sand never gets a rhythm, a wave, or nothing. But if you slowly move it, it does. You can see the sand moving. Like you said, I think it was a lot of change, short amount of time. We don't know what's going on. I
even did that prior to the whole thing. I had a bunch of money, plenty of people ready to roll. And I also think I made too many changes in a short time frame.
Well, and honestly, we've done that too. I mean, it happens, but I think that's part of the fun of like being a business owner, right?
Oh boy.
Like we talked about this, right? Like if you should have bought a Maserati instead, right?
Should have bought a Ferrari.
And like if you think about it,
or something.
Well, and that's again, we say the fun, but like we've talked about this.
Could have bought a Porsche 911 GT3 Turbo.
Absolutely, but on the backside, that could have actually made you money. That's where like the fun of it is. Like, well, it's stupid
could have made me a lot of money.
Yeah, it's stupid to do that, but is it? Like, I don't know.
But
glad you didn't go that route, but nonetheless. I mean,
but when it's all paid off and said and done, like I'll be back at an 800-something credit score.
Right. And again, that's what I think is also the cool thing, is just like being so young that we can go through these trials and tribulations and just know like, well, I'll bounce back for them. You're talking about decades. You started the conversation with that. Dude, technically we're only in our third decade. Like we're pretty early. We've only had 2 other goes at this.
Just a baby.
Right. So like, hey, it's perfect time to pivot, or if we made some bad decisions, to grow back from them and stuff like that.
Ready to skim through just a few things?
Sure.
Wrap up? Okay. If there's a guest that you would like to have back or you would like to talk to again, is there any that come to mind? Doesn't have to if you don't know. Don't think about it.
I feel like, yes, there was somebody, and I don't know why I can't remember this, because I've even thought about him a couple of times.
Or is there a topic that you would like to?
Not really. As we started the conversation, it was just kind of like, man, I like getting into people's heads and just seeing what, seeing where the topic leads us. No? Topic?
I want more like accounting, more tax.
Well, I was going to say like accounting or tax.
But I want actual, not just like, here's how you balance your books. I want to be like, no, I want to know.
I got somebody that
how to understand strategically to manage the money on a weekly or daily, monthly basis. Like, how do you actually manage the cash and the credit?
That would be like a bookkeeper.
No, from a higher, because you have to tell people what to do. How do you make those decisions based on the cash?
Okay, I got you.
How do you understand the forecasting part, or the break-even points, and then what decisions to be able to make? Like if you didn't, how do you know what balance to keep? How do you know, like, I can pay that bill today? How do you know I can pay this off today? How do you know you're good with payroll in 6 months. Like, how do you know things?
Right,
And,
right, right.
You know, we should move money here. We should not pay that until then.
Right.
You know, like
right.
that sort of stuff. And maybe that conversation with some different industries
Yeah, absolutely.
would be great to kind of understand. It's
Well,
like how, because I think that's where everyone struggles.
Well, and I was just about to say the exact same. I think that one because, dude, most of us get into business because we think we understand business. But what usually ends up screwing us is the fact that we don't understand finances in business. And
They don't
it's
know how to
like,
manage the cash.
right. And it's like, well, what do you mean? And in business, we've both been there. Bro, there's sometimes where you have no cash, you make a promise, you figure it out, you end up in debt. Plain and simple, you end up in debt. And you don't know if you made a right decision or not, or how to justify it. And talking to somebody with that level of expertise would be like, well, I remember one time I had we've had three different CPA partners. One of them told us that, hey, if you rent that machine for 3 times as much as it would cost you to purchase it in a year, you just need to buy it. And it's like little nuggets like that. And it's like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, he called it something. And honestly, I'm probably wrong with what I just said, but he said something like that I was
That
like,
makes sense. I know what you mean.
wait, what? It's that simple? He's like, yeah, it's that simple. You just look at your balance sheet. If you're paying X amount or what it would cost you to buy, you should buy. I'm like, what? Why did it take me this long to hear that? But something like that from people, like you said, different industries, professionals higher than us on money, that'd be awesome for sure.
What's one thing you want to do differently this upcoming year in 2026?
Ooh, that is a great question.
Or what are some things you are going to do different this year?
So I'm listening to a book. I don't listen to many books, but I'm listening to Shoe Dog right now. The Phil Knight story, Nike.
Mm.
Great book, Brayden. You would love it. A lot of really good nuggets in there. And he talks in there, one of the things is you don't tell people how to do things. You just tell them to do it and let them surprise you. I'm going to try to do that a little bit more this year.
Yeah.
Just telling them, hey, this is what I need done and seeing if they can surprise me. And I've kind of gotten better at that, but I think a lot of times, man, we don't utilize people the way they could be utilized because we expect them to fit in a box, much like you and I, So I'm going to try that. I definitely want to read more. I read 11 books in 2025. I'm really shooting for 20.
Good job.
Yeah, I'm really shooting for 20 for 2026.
I didn't read any.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty happy about it. I actually didn't mean to. So, little hindsight here.
I accidentally read 11 books.
Well, I meant to read the books, but I've had on my goal list. So I write goals every year. I write them down once and I never look at them again. I don't know why I do it. And I always somehow end up knocking off 1 or 2 of the goals after I write them down. That has been one of my goals for probably 5 or 6 years, to read 12 books in a year, or at least just a book a month, to become a reader. And this year I officially did 11 books, which was pretty awesome. It was like 3,800 some pages. So yeah, I'm going to try to read more in 2026, try to just let people surprise me. And, as we get older, Brayden, it gets more realistic of how close you are to death. Like I said, I had a medical scare. I'm not dying, but it was scary, and knowing my dad passed away so young and all this and that, it's like, I'm going to try to take more risks to create the life that I really know I deserve and my family deserves. And financial freedom at 35, I always knew it was like going to be a real thing. I mean, I'm going on 10 years believing this crazy dream. I knew it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. And I know I've actively been working to make that happen, but knowing that I'm only 3.5 years away from that goal makes me realize that, like, you're going to die soon. You think that goal's soon, that goal's going to get here like that, and then you're going to die. So you should probably, like, make those adjustments, take those risks, and do it. So that way by 35, you can actually hit your financial freedom and go chase your wife around the country doing whatever she wants to do, or the world or, the kids, whatever. Like, go do something that is what I actually want to do. So, yeah, I would say that. I'm curious what you would like to do different for 2026.
Well, we're going on our first family vacation in 3 years.
Oh, yes.
Without any other family members, friends, stuff like that. The last vacation that I was on.
Is it going to be the first one just you five?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
No, the last vacation that I had was when I got engaged to Leslie.
Oh, wow. Wow. But that wasn't all five of you guys.
Just me and her.
Are you excited about that?
And then I'm 98% sure that this is all right. And then we had Leia. She had Leia. And then we moved.
Right.
And
Life.
then that was a week before. Remember all that? You helped me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Life.
And then we signed papers, marriage papers. We didn't do a vacation. We probably went on nope.
Yeah, little trips or something.
Nope.
Well, I mean, we went to Broken Bow at one point, but
Leia.
that was.
Did we?
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah, Leia and the boys. I swear.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah.
But that wasn't just you five.
No.
That was, but again, that's where we're talking, like,
Not
you
with
might have
Nana
done
and Papa,
little trips.
not with brothers.
But never just like you guys.
Yeah. So this is our first actual family vacation. We
Yeah,
were
that's
supposed
exciting.
to go on a cruise last year, and I lost $3,000 on that because I canceled it. That sucked. So we're gonna go skiing.
Hoping I don't
We've got
have
a
to
ski
do something
trip.
like that.
It's already paid for. We're gonna go do that, and then
Excited for you guys.
and then we're gonna go to the beach, and we're gonna do 2 vacations this year.
Nice.
And it's
So let me ask you
gonna
this.
happen.
What is your so with this
we're gonna do both.
and you should. You deserve it. Your kids deserve it. And at the end of the day, you'll make more
That's
money.
the other part. Where it's
Your
like
kids will
we
grow
haven't-
up and dude.
Yeah,
It's worth
the
it.
amount of the amount that my son, one of my boys, has changed in the last 12 months is scary.
Yeah, you need to take
It's
advantage of it.
scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm like, where did you what's even scarier and it actually got me to tears a couple times is thinking, go back and watch some videos of your kids, is you lose them.
Oh yeah.
In certain periods, and you don't realize that a person of them dies, and then you meet a new person about every few years.
Yep.
Right, and you don't realize that until you go back and look at memories, and you go,
Holy shit.
"I will never get that kid back."
Never.
You know, I miss that cuteness, and if I saw that kid again, I'd want to ask him. I'd want to do this with them one more time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like, it tears you apart
Absolutely.
when you start thinking about that, and you're like, and then it almost forces you to want to be like more present, do some more activities, and say no to everything else.
Right.
You know, where it's like, again, that work thing is going to be a fire tomorrow.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I don't care. I'm going to be at home with my family.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can choose not to be with your kids, and that's your choice.
And that's
to prioritize
okay.
work.
Yeah,
and that's
right.
okay.
Yeah.
You know, and you're probably going to go certain places faster than I will. And that's okay.
I got to ask you,
Yeah.
what is the one thing you're most excited about with going on this vacation? Just you five.
I'm excited to step away, but I'm really more excited about my family having an experience that they've never had before.
Okay.
So I'm excited to also have a variety of an experience with them.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to go on our first road trip, an 8-10 hour road trip together. I'm excited to have a date on the mountains with my wife for one day. I'm excited to have me and my wife and the boys on the mountains one day without a little one. And then I'm excited for us to do some exploration, go around town, go do some other little activities, go sightseeing, some stuff like that, have a lazy day where it's like, what do we do? Nothing. Yeah. We're going to stay at the B&B all day.
That's awesome.
Go order something, go to a restaurant,
I always ask that question because what I always look forward to is, and very much like you said, is the adventure, right? Like just, you don't really know, you just have a plan and you getting to be able to spend that time with your kids and your wife. It's like, that's exciting. I mean, and for us, we go camping. Last year we went twice, I think. But nonetheless, it's like those moments where you get those, all five of you guys, like you said, you're going to be road tripping. So that's something that we've never done. And we're going to try to tackle an 18-hour road trip this year. But to be like stuck there with each other Like, I just think that's the coolest thing. And it's kind of like anxiety driving to think like, fuck, there's going to be 5 of us in this car for like 10 hours and we're going to be like hungry and tired and just like annoyed.
Yeah.
But like something inside of me loves that. Something inside of me is like, and this is going to sound really stupid, I know, but it's my time to shine. Like, that's how I feel every time. Cause like I always, and much like you're running into, sure, you planned the trip, but there's always the possibility that it's not going to work out. There's going to be something that comes up. But I love those moments because it really, to you, it might be different because you have boys, and I just realized that. But for my girls and for my wife, it's like, daddy's got you. Like, it's fine. Like, we're going to figure all this out. It's fine. If you guys are exhausted of being in the car and blah, 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 you want to pull over, fine, we'll pull over. Like, not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. But like, I don't know. I kind of like the fact that they look to us in moments like those. Like, you're on vacation, bro. Everybody in that car is looking at dad. For what? Well, he has enough gas. The car's not going to break down. We have enough snacks. He's going to stop at the right time. You know, he's going to keep the right music on. Everybody's going to be calm. We like everything. And like, that's actually kind of a cool feeling. It's scary as fuck. You're like, dude, what are we going to do? But then there's the part of me that it happens almost every time I take some sort of trip with my girls, just us 5, is, oh crap, we can't turn around and go home now. Like, we're in it. And I think that's where the fun starts.
I'm past the refund point.
Yeah, right. And that's what I'm saying. I think that's where it gets,
canceling this trip. It's
that's
too
where
late.
it gets fun.
You get in the car.
Where it's like, you're there, you're doing it, and you're just like, man, this is great. Why? Because of course it was going to be great. But part of me has this anxiety because I'm the dad and they're all counting on me.
How's this going to play out?
But then, right. But then you're just doing it and you're like, man, this is easy.
Yeah.
My kids are great. My wife is great. Yeah. This is easy. All I got to do is, like, I want to do this more.
So it leads me on to the just do it anyway thing I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to go to the gym, but I do it anyways. You know, sometimes there's some days where like, I don't want to go to work. I do it anyways. I don't want to have this conversation with a client or a vendor. I do it anyways.
Right.
You know, some of that comes down with discipline or with kids, or whatever. Work and family related, you can apply that anyways. And a lot of times that'll come down to being disciplined and just do it anyways. Showing up, having that conversation, going through the routine, whatever it is.
Yep. I mean, I think that, and that's one of the things that I think as we get older, as business owners, parents, husbands, you know, you just got to do it. Like, you just got to do it. The guy that fell in the trench, you just got to do it, man. Like, that was unsafe. Yes, I get it. But we, as men, much like when you're on your road trip, dude, if something happens, you're fixing it. Why? Because you have to.
Someone throw up in the car.
Right.
Someone shit themselves.
Right. Like, dude, all these things can very well happen. And you know what? Might. Like, it's very realistic. And I think anybody with families like we have, dude, at 3 kids, shit happens. Like, it's just randomly. Everything's all hunky-dory.
3 kids.
Right.
Compared to 2.
Everything's great. And then all of a sudden, it's
different.
like, now we got 2 kids sick and one's pissed off and now this and that. It's like, oh, man. So it's like, to think about that, you just doing it with your kids, right? Just literally going on this trip. Just, dude, it's going to be great. Because when you're out there, there's going to be moments where your kids are just going to have to do it. They're just going to have to. What do you mean we want to go skiing? We've never been skiing. We don't know how. What are you going to learn today? You're just going to go do it. And then by the end of it, you'll have a great time. You'll be happy you did it. You know? So I'm excited for you on that. And I definitely recommend you take that second trip too and go to the beach. Like I said,
we're going to do both.
We're getting old, man.
And everyone.
Yeah, we're getting old.
Don't call me.
Yeah.
Don't text me. I do not care.
Right.
The bill's not getting paid. It'll still not get paid for a week.
Right.
I'll deal with it in a week.
Right. And
I'm gonna spend some time with the kids.
So you got a 10-hour road trip and you're taking a week off? Are you doing like weekend to weekend or like how many actual days?
Sunday, we have the whole Monday there, get our skis, get snacks, whatever, go to a restaurant, whatever.
Right. Get
some groceries for the week. Tuesday, we lay off at daycare, drop the boys off at ski school, and Leslie and I go hit the mountain till 3 o'clock. Then we go pick up Leia, pick up the boys, go back home. I might take the boys out for a night ski if they had a good day there. The next day, we drop off Leia at daycare.
Over it.
Hell no.
Maybe. No, them.
Oh, they will?
I think after ski school, man, they'll just be like, Dad, we're hungry.
Yeah.
We're done.
They will be, but they might be like, I want to go.
They might love it.
Try
yeah, they might love it.
But then the Wednesday, I planned it to where wife and the boys are going to go on the mountain. So it's me with the boy, me and her with the boys. You know, the little one, she's going to stay with daycare that day, all day. And we'll grab lunch on the mountain. We'll do whatever the boys want to do. You know what I mean? And
they'll love having that attention.
Yeah. And then we'll get Leia, then we'll have dinner. And then if they want to go out that night, great, whatever. And then Thursday, we're supposed to return our skis. And then it's not, we're going to go tubing, sledding, whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to go sightseeing. We're going to go to Breckenridge, kind of some things like that.
That's awesome.
And then Friday's another just kind of optional, lazy, recuperating day. So if we want to stay at the Airbnb, great. If we want to go sledding some more, great. You know,
or even just head home early.
Or yeah, well, no, because we paid for another night. So then we drive back home Saturday.
Right.
You know,
right.
so.
Well, I just say that because like a big long trip like that, you know, I know in my experience, one time, I don't remember where we were. We came home like 2 days early just because we were just over it. We're like, hey, it was fun, but let's go home. And we had paid for the hotel for 2 extra nights, but it was such a far drive home that I was like, let's just go. Well, I'd rather rest these 2 days at home than rest them here.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm excited to hear about how it goes with you guys, and honestly, I'm excited to hear from the boys. Just see their excitement and Leia's excitement.
I brought a Polaroid style camera.
Yeah. Dude, that's going to be fun.
So it prints on the spot.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
that's good. I'm excited to hear about that.
This is legit. It's been great.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
Is that
I
it?
wish I could see you again.
Oh, we'll make it happen again.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah,
But
I'll see you tomorrow.
see you back here.
Oh, yeah. We didn't make this more regular.
Just once a month.
Yeah, I think I can swing that.
Yeah, just once.
I mean, now I have a sales guy, so I think I can swing that a little bit easier.
All right, I'll see you next month.
Yes, sir.